There is a road that begins the moment you stop breathing, and it is 4 years long. You do not float up. You do not pass into light. You go down into a country of 9 layers stacked beneath the world, each one a place designed to take something from you: your skin, your heart, your name. And at the very bottom, in a windowless dark, a thing made of bone sits on a throne and waits for what is left of you to arrive. He is in no hurry. He knows the road. He knows that everyone, in the end, walks it to him. The people of the High Valley did not believe that death was a door you simply passed through. They believed it was a journey, the longest and hardest journey you would ever make, and that how you died, not how you lived, decided which road you walked. Most of the dead were sent to Mictlan, the Underworld, the great below. And to reach its lowest floor, the soul had to survive 9 levels, one after another. And the crossing took 4 years. The first thing waiting for you was a river, a wide black river of cold, still water, and you could not cross it alone. You needed a guide, so they buried a dog with the dead, a small dog, the color of rust, the color of dried blood, because they believed the dog would be waiting on the bank and would know its master and would carry the soul across the water on its back. If the dog did not know you, if you had been cruel to dogs in life, you stood on that shore forever, and the far side never came any closer. And once across, the road only grew worse. There were 2 mountains that drifted apart and then slammed together again and again, and you had to time the gap and pass between them before they closed. There was a hill of black glass studded with knives that flayed the skin from the walking dead. There was a place where the wind itself was the enemy, a wind made of obsidian blades, a gale of flying stone knives that cut at the soul for a stretch of the road so long it had its own name. There were rivers of blood and beasts that ate hearts, and a final crossing of 8 deserts and 8 hills of killing cold. 4 years of this, and the dead were not strong. They were tired and thinning and losing themselves a little more at every level. That was the point. By the time the soul reached the 9th and final floor, there was almost nothing left of it. And that was when it finally came before the Lord of the place. His name was Mictlantecuhtli, the Lord of Mictlan. Picture him, a towering figure of bones, his ribs splayed open, his liver hanging exposed below them, because in that place the body has no need to hide what it is. His skull is fixed in a permanent grin, the teeth bare, and where a living man's hair would be, his is dressed with the unblinking eyes of the dead, staring out in every direction so that nothing in his kingdom goes unseen. He wears a necklace of human eyeballs. His hands are claws. And beside him sits his queen, Mictlantecuhtli, the lady of the dead, the keeper of the bones of everyone who has ever lived. You came all that way, lost almost everything, just to kneel in front of them. And here is the part the people of the valley understood, and we still flinch from. There was no judgment. He did not weigh your heart. He did not ask what you had done. The reward for surviving 4 years of black rivers and crushing mountains and a wind full of knives was not paradise, and it was not punishment. It was rest. It was the end. You handed over the offerings you were buried with, and then you simply stopped. You dissolved into the silence of the lowest floor and were no more. The whole terrible road led to one quiet door, and on the other side of it, there was nothing, and the nothing was the mercy. But not every ruler of the Aztec dead sat still on a throne and waited. Some of them had wings. High above the layers of Mictlan, in a place that was supposed to be a paradise, there lived a goddess whose name should be beautiful, and is instead one of the most frightening in all of the mythology, Itzpapalotl, the Obsidian Butterfly. Imagine a butterfly the size of a person. Now take away everything soft about it. Her body is a skeleton. Her face, when she lets you see it, is a skull. And her wings. the wings that should be powdered and bright, are edged all the way around with blades of black volcanic glass, so that every beat of them is a ring of knives opening and closing in the dark. Her hands and feet end not in fingers, but in the claws of a jaguar. She is a star fallen into a body, a thing of the night sky given teeth. She ruled over a paradise called Tamoanchan, the place of the first tree, and that is exactly what makes her so terrible. She is beauty and death wearing the same skin. The dead who came to her did not see the skeleton first. They saw the butterfly. They saw the bright wings and the soft light, and they came closer, the way you would come closer to anything lovely, and the wings closed. The Aztecs told of how the gods themselves had to deal with her. She was so dangerous that she was hunted and burned, and from her ashes came the flints, the obsidian knives that were used ever after in the most serious work of that world. She did not stay dead. Things like her do not. She became one of the spirits of the night, one of the star demons, counted among the gods who govern the hour when the light goes out. And that is the dread of Itzpapalotl, the lesson buried in her bright and terrible wings. In that world, the most dangerous death did not come as a skeleton in the dark where you expected it. It came as something beautiful, in a garden, in the daylight. And you walked toward it gladly, and you were already inside the knives before you understood what you were looking at. The third terror of the Aztec dark was not a single god. It was a host of them, and they had all once been ordinary living women. The people of the valley believed that a woman who died giving birth died as a warrior died, that the act of bringing a life into the world while losing her own was a battle, and she had fallen on its field. These women were honored. They were called divine, but honor in that world was not the same as peace. They became the Cihuateteo, the divine women, and they did not rest in any paradise. They came back. On 5 nights of the year, at the dark crossroads where the roads met outside the towns, the Cihuateteo descended out of the western sky. You would know them if you saw them, and you prayed that you never would. Their faces were chalk white, bone white. Their arms and hands were white as ash. They came down silent in a group, drifting at the height where a face would be. They were looking for children. A child caught out at the crossroads on one of those nights was taken. Some were struck with sickness. Some were marked with a paralysis, a sudden twisting of the face and the limbs, that the people blamed directly on the touch of these women. So on those nights, the parents kept the children inside, behind the doorways, and did not let them near the roads, because the divine women were grieving the children they themselves never got to raise. And grief, in that mythology, does not stay gentle. It comes looking for what it lost in the faces of the living. And behind the Cihuateteo loomed the worst of all the night things, the Tzitzimime, the star demons, skeletal women of the sky, hung with hearts and skulls, frozen in the heavens as the stars themselves. The Aztecs believed they were always up there, waiting, and that during an eclipse, when the sun was swallowed and the day went dark in the middle of the day, the Tzitzimime would come down. If the sun did not return, they would descend in their thousands and devour every human being alive. That is what an eclipse was to the people of the valley. Not a wonder, a door cracking open, a glimpse of the night that wanted to be permanent, and of the starving skeletal women on the other side of it, leaning toward the gap, waiting to see if today was the day the sun did not come back. This is what the people of the High Valley understood, better perhaps than anyone before them, that death was not a single moment but a long road, and that the things waiting along it did not hate you and did not love you. They were simply what the dark was made of. A skeleton on a throne who offered nothing but an ending, a beautiful winged thing that opened into knives, and a sky full of starving women waiting for the light to fail. But across the ocean, on a chain of islands in the Far East, another people built a darkness with a different and more intimate horror. Their land of the dead was not at the bottom of the world. It was just on the other side of a single hill, behind a great boulder, close enough to speak through. And the first thing they tell you about it is this. A husband went down to bring his wife back, and he made the one mistake you are never ever supposed to make. He looked at her. Death Gods, Episode 6. The Land of Gloom. Don't let the fire go out.